Well,
How about that?
guess what? We just did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs.
Yes. We shook up the theme song.
We did. How about you guys like the little taste, a little something new? We wanted to throw you a curveball today.
Courtesy of our guest, and he's going to be talking about the song.
He's talking all about it. Thinking, since we had kind of a curveball of a movie that we're going to get into.
We will.
But you're listening to Comedy Film Nerds, episode 421.
Welcome.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome new citizens to this universe. Welcome people that have been listening to us from day one. Yeah. Hello, all of you.
Yes.
Hello, Sandy, big fan, Japan.
Yeah.
Haven't given you a shout out in a while.
No.
Everybody out in the world.
Aaron
at the gymnastics studio in Indiana. I don't know.
There's all sorts of people around
The
listening.
Hanson brothers. Come on.
Yes.
It was 4 years ago we were
Andrea in Japan as well.
It was 4 years ago
Andy.
that we were shooting earbuds.
God, was it that long ago?
4 years ago.
Wow. Maybe it feels longer because it took so long to finish.
It seems like it was just like, it was like a year or two ago.
Yeah,
no, it was
yeah.
4. It was 4 years ago.
It really feels like that, though. Like, we just went to Japan. Like, it was like 2 years ago,
No,
right?
like 2014, we were in Japan.
Wow. Yeah. That's too long.
It is. I might be going back this summer.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah. So let's do it.
Let's talk about it. You guys have been like, hey, what's going on with you guys haven't talked about Solo yet. So, we had a nice Batman Ninja spoiler. Some great feedback on Twitter about that. Somebody was like, I didn't think it was that too bad. And somebody was like, I saw it and I was angry. I hated it just as much as you guys did.
Yeah. Listen to the Batman Ninja spoiler. I wanted to like that movie.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to introduce our first-time guest. And a very special guest because he has a musical right now called Solo Must Die, about someone on the Death Star who wants to kill Han Solo, as you heard in the opening song. Ladies and gentlemen, also an actor on the show Scorpion. Was an actor on the show Scorpion.
Way to go, Chris.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Shows get canceled. That's not disappointing at all.
It's not your fault.
No, it really is.
It's not like you did a racist tweet.
No. Thank God. No, that ain't me.
Ladies and gentlemen, first-time guest, Ari Stidham.
Hi. Hello. Hi, guys.
Hi.
So now,
Thanks for having me.
clearly a huge Star Wars fan.
Yes.
So tell us about the musical that you put on that just finished its run at the Hudson Theater in Los Angeles. And I saw it, and it was fantastic. It was hilarious.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for... You brought more than just yourself, too.
I
so
did. I
thank
brought
you
the
for
entire family
Oh.
and Neil, he's kind of part of the family. So, yeah.
He should just move in, right?
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
Neil, save the rent.
It's, it's once we move all the T-shirts, that's where he's going to go.
Neil's gonna... So
gonna
more
just
reason
spot in
for us
the
to get our
garage.
own office
Yeah,
space so
yeah.
that Neil can finally live in the garage as he was
Yes.
meant to do.
Yes, yeah. He's like, every time he comes in, there's always that aside of like, he's still got a lot of T-shirts in here.
Boy, you guys could have certainly...
Well, at least you have a fridge, but come on.
God, if you got rid of the T-shirts, it would be plenty of space for a single guy.
Yeah. For a bed and a desk, that's all I need.
That's all I need.
It's one of those beds on top and desks under.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can really make good use of the space.
I had one of those when I was in my 20s.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a space saver.
Bed on desk is really good.
Yeah, that's the only way IKEA stays in business.
Bed on desk.
So Ari, tell us about the show.
Yes, Solo Must Die. Takes place right after New Hope. It paints Han Solo. We call him Prime Cut Han. It's pre-carbonite. You can see the pit stains in some of the shots,
wow.
Like that Han Solo. That's the one we really wanted to capture because we didn't know when we wrote it how Solo would do. So we wanted to have something for ourselves and for all of our friends who like Star Wars like us, sort of people in the fan fiction world as well, to have a version of Solo that we could get behind if people didn't like what Alden did, or Ron, or Chris, and Phil, all the people who were a part of it. So
Temporarily.
So taking ownership of a character like that without anybody giving you okay to was pretty brazen. So we had to have a lot of tact, and I think we did a pretty good job. But the idea was essentially to take the story of Merry Wives of Windsor, which is Shakespeare's probably, it's a really silly show, but it doesn't have a lot of depth to it. And use that for Han Solo and sort of make him this Falstaff character that everybody around the galaxy knows. And everybody's got an opinion about him, and he's got an opinion about himself, who he is, but he's put at odds with it after the events of A New Hope. So that's the basis of the musical, and then all the original music came from my friend Huey Stonefish and I, and we just got a really funny cast together of great voices. And
it was a big cast, too. You know, the Hudson Theater's not huge,
right?
But you had like 600 people in your cast, right?
14 people.
The theater holds 85, I think.
Yeah, we wanted stormtroopers,
right?
I mean, we wanted more people, and there's the.
I love that. Like, I just want this. I can just see the meetings. Yeah. Wow, the budget and the theater. I know. I want with stormtroopers.
Yeah,
that's
just
come on.
It made sense to us. We thought Star Wars is a big thing. There's scope to all of the stories that are told in the Star Wars universe. So there's no way we're going to be able to afford good costumes. There's no way we're going to be able to do it right the way that you do it in Star Wars. So you do a fan fiction story, and you do more. And BB-8 was like a yoga ball with a strainer on top, and all of the droids were cardboard spray painted gold with like Coke cans on top of it. So you could tell it felt really DIY fan fiction,
homemade,
put together, homemade on purpose. That's a part of the.
I love that. I love that type of theater. Like, I was in a sketch group for years, and we prided ourselves on shitty costumes.
Yeah.
Like who gets the crappy wig, and who's got the bad mustache, and who's gonna put some like.
Who has the cop hat?
We did, the cop hat. We did a some type of, when the prequels came out, we were doing this show in the Valley called 10 Degrees Hotter. Mm-hmm. And I did a like a Jar Jar Binks character, like a very bad CG character, and all I did was just wrap saran wrap around my regular outfit, and I just shined around and moved all weird and awkwardly. I love that shit.
Yeah, that's awesome. We had Jar Jar in our show. It's one of our first jokes. The guy, there's a framing device on it with no, I'm laughing at my own show like an asshole. These two dudes, they're fan fiction writers. I'm not close enough. These two guys, they're fan fiction writers. And one of them says, "Will you read my fan fiction?" That's the framing device for the whole show. And the guy says, "I'll do it as long as there's no Jar Jar Binks in this story." So he starts crossing out Jar Jar Binks' name in a bunch of different pages. The show starts. Later on in the show, Jar Jar Binks shows up, but everybody calls him Redacted.
That is such a nerd inside baseball joke.
Very inside baseball.
I love that.
We had a lot of jokes like that. Some jokes specifically in there for people who played Battlefront, like Yavin 4 jokes. I don't know if anybody gets that. Yavin 4.
Somebody out there's laughing.
One of 9 moons that orbits Endor. It's in that song. It'll be good. you guys will get on Yavin 4's the train at some point. But yeah, it was super fun, and I don't know. We're definitely doing it again. It's not dead. We have the music recorded, and we have the script written, and it'd be good to get a smaller cast to do it to see if that could work. But
no.
Yeah, you need your stormtroopers.
More stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers every time we see them.
And are you going to release like the music on iTunes, something like that?
We're going to upload something to YouTube. We're going to have a whole digital. You'll be able to experience the musical without having to come to the Hudson Theater. Last month.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So all right, let's get into it.
All
Solo, a Star Wars story. Well, let me start.
Okay, Chris.
As you know, not a big fan of Ron Howard. So.
Yep.
Wait a second. Can I stop you right there? What?
Yeah.
You're just not a Ron Howard fan.
I'm not a Ron Howard fan.
I'm gonna process that for the rest of the show.
Okay.
That's the first thing I gotta process. Are you a Ron Howard fan?
Yeah. It's our thing.
But
he really likes Terrence Malick. I think all of his movies are long and boring, and I like Ron Howard.
You can't even. You got to give it up to him for some stuff, though, right?
There's a couple. Yeah, Broken Clock is right twice a day. So.
Wow.
This is an age-old beef that is being brought up.
All right.
So
now I'm gonna let you go. Sorry.
No. I think it's fair for you to ask these questions, sir.
And I've always said that Ron Howard is aggressively mediocre, and.
Shots fired! Ronnie.
He's coming up swinging.
Yeah. This movie,
America's sweetheart.
And I will say this movie better than I thought it would be because I had such low expectations.
Nice job, Winthrop.
Yeah. So I really felt, but it was really the whole scope of this movie was a paint by numbers Star Wars movie. It's like, okay, we have to get this in here. We have to get this in here. We have to get this in here. And then nobody kind of paid attention to, well, maybe we should be telling a compelling story. No, that's last. And I was looking through a lot of the trivia on IMDb, and I'd say a fair amount of the trivia was about how, the original directors got fired. So when Phil Lord and Christopher Miller were dismissed due to creative differences. Now, I don't know if this number is true or not. It's that Ron Howard reshot more than 80% of the movie. That's a lot of a movie to reshoot. So,
now it's a Ron Howard.
Now it's a Ron Howard movie. Yeah, now it's not Ron Howard coming into.
Look, if you want me to come in and save this thing, I'm Ron Howard. I don't need the gig.
But I'd like to see the first 80% that was shot. It's like, where's that original 80%? Well, hopefully that'll show up on YouTube or somewhere in the dark web somewhere.
It has a lot less Clint Howard in it.
Yes.
That's the only thing I know about it.
It's starring Eric Stoltz.
Yeah. And, there's some great trivia, like the golden idol, the fertility idol from the opening scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark can be seen on a table in the meeting room of Paul Bettany's character Dryden Voss. And also, Han is seen speaking to Chewie in the Wookiee language. This is the first time a non-Wookiee is seen speaking the language, as well as the first time the language is translated on screen with subtitles. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting because I don't remember that in any of the other Star Wars movies. They're not being subtitles under, like, Chewbacca or...
It's a great piece of trivia.
And I'm thinking, but now when you think about it, I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. We never saw exactly what he was saying. It was always translated by Han Solo or one of the other characters, like the interpretation of what Chewie was always saying.
Okay.
So anyway, I will say this. I had very low expectations. I thought it was a paint-by-numbers Star Wars movie. It was empty. There was not a lot to it, but it was more entertaining than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I had a similar, like, okay, cool. The little the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, like all those little things they put in there. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I wasn't furious at this film.
Right, that's a good way to describe it.
I wasn't going to come in and just nerd rage it up. You know what I mean? And just stand up and go, this is heresy, burn the theater down.
They should put that on the poster. I wasn't furious about this film.
That's the quote from Graham Elwood. And so I think, and I have an interesting take on this after having talked to a friend. So first and foremost, and we talked about it leading up to it, watching the trailers, and it was confirmed by watching the whole movie. The kid was miscast, in my opinion. I didn't buy him as a young Harrison Ford.
And
Harrison Ford was not 5'6" when he was in his 20s.
And I don't think
he's always been a tall, swarthy dude.
And I don't think it's the actor's fault for that too, because I remember seeing him in Hail Caesar, and I loved him. I thought he was really funny. But if you're miscast, you're miscast. That means you're just not right for the role, no matter how well you do.
I mean, I don't think he was horribly miscast. I think they could have found somebody far worse,
Sure.
I think...
Could have been Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised if that was... his Shia's was the first name on the list when they were casting it.
Right.
So it felt like they didn't even try to make him look like Harrison Ford. They tried to make him look like Emil Hirsch. And that's what I felt like when I was watching the movie. I thought his performance was great. I mean, I really thought he did everything he could do to play Han Solo, but it did take me out of it. I mean, his demeanor and everything felt like he was putting on the thing that they wanted him to put on. Yeah. So it was Solo, and I actually think he might be kind of close to his height, but he's just not. Harrison Ford sort of has like a longer thing to him,
Harrison Ford is, and to be fair, I think this is so much like my childhood. Mm-hmm. You're trying to be the guy from my child. I know, and I'm going to be fair with that. Like, I think this kid's a good actor, and I agree. It could have been horribly miscast.
Right.
And to that point, to kind of verify your point a little bit, I had a friend of mine, I was talking to her, and she said, oh, God, that kid was awesome. He looked like Harrison Ford. He had the smirk, the hair. It was great. And I went, all right, well, I mean, maybe it's just, in all fairness, that's where you're going to come down on this movie, whether you liked it or not. If you see this kid and go, oh, that's awesome. Boy, I was watching a young Han Solo. It was great. Or if you're like me, like, nope, don't buy it. I'm out.
You know what you were also watching? Woody Harrelson be Woody Harrelson in the movie.
I thought he was delightful. I thought that was, I think I don't know. That made a lot of sense to me. The casting and the way he played it, while it was Woody Harrelson.
Yes.
It felt like it fit. And it felt like...
Oh, it's Woody Harrelson from The Hunger Games. Oh, no, it's Woody Harrelson from Planet of the Apes.
It's all Woody
Harrelson. It's all Woody Harrelson. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. And I did like the sort of prequel, like, oh, how did we get here? Like, oh, there was these like basically drug cartels, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
These like crime bosses fighting, and how did the rebellion start? We got a taste of that. That stuff was cool, and all the Easter eggs. But again, and there was times I was bored. There was times I was in the theater like,
the music bored me. That was the hardest for me. It was the score was, it just wasn't up to par with Rogue One, which I thought was really great, and I don't think John Williams did that one, but I thought it was really, really good in Rogue One. But in Solo, I felt just a different vibe.
Yeah.
It's like half there, and that more than anybody's performance or the script or any continuity issues, like anything that other people that I've heard of, or Alden, all that my biggest complaint was the music. That made it feel like at times not a Star Wars story.
Well, that's the thing. You bring up a great point. Like, I was so fired up for Rogue One. I loved Rogue One. And a lot of people were like, yeah, we knew what was going to happen. I go, yeah, but it was so cool to see how we got there.
And you also introduced a ton of new and interesting characters. You're not introducing younger versions of characters we already know. So I think that plays a huge part of it.
And I love Billy D, what is it, Danny Glover?
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover, I just call him Danny. Donald Glover, I loved him as a young Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
I love the poker scenes.
Him I bought more than a young Han Solo. But it's interesting, too, like we talked about it before. And we, by the way, we are going to do a spoiler up on the show. Don't worry. Rogue One is a great comparison of like I like Rogue One better as well because first of all I thought it had a better story, more interesting versions of the characters because these are characters we haven't seen before. Like I'm ready for new characters in Star Wars, even if it's set as a prequel in a timeline. Mm-hmm. I don't care. I'm still compelled, and I thought and the way that movie unfolded. I thought was much more interesting than this was like, all right, we're just hitting the Star Wars beats that we have to hit for Han Solo for this movie.
Well, Ari, so how were you coming into the movie? What were you bringing into it? You're a huge Star Wars fan, obviously.
And a huge Han Solo fan. Just did the whole musical around him, too. So
it's probably your favorite character in the whole universe.
Bib Fortuna is my favorent character in the whole universe, just because, wow, And there's also this thing of, I don't know. I really detest Boba Fett, so I like Han Solo in the way of you like your rival's rival. I don't like the Boba Fettification of the world right now. But look, I did youth theater with an Alden Ehrenreich who was so much. I mean, we were both so young. I barely remembered I did it until one of the ladies in the youth theater posted on a Facebook group like, Alden was in this play with you. And I saw me and him. So I don't remember him. But ever since that happened and I have people connected to him, I was really excited to see how he did. Because it's the first time anybody in my generation as an actor has gotten a role like that. Right. So I was really excited to see what he could do with it. And I didn't want to mentally set him up for failure. I wanted to give him, the benefit of the doubt when I could. And yeah, a lot of people really bought into it. It took me out of it, Mm-hmm. I just feel like he was framed wrong sometimes.
Right.
And I feel like there's
Howard.
also some, okay. I feel you there. I get you. Narrative over whatever. I feel you.
He's not going to let it go.
No, I'm not.
No. And there's valid points. There's holes in every filmmaker's armor. But I went in.
Do you really have to wear a hat that says director?
Yeah.
It's a Funny or Die IMDb. It's Funny or Die. He's doing a spoof. I wanted to see really if they were going to implement anything from Chewie's family that was the canon was set up through the Star Wars Christmas special.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to see if they were going to honor that part of the canon. That's really why I watched the movies mostly, and they're always going to get my money, is because I want to see how much of the canon from Clone Wars, which some of it we learned through a thing we can't talk about, happened.
Yes.
But there's stuff like that where I want to see how much of other writers' work that has been a part of this massive thing gets implemented in a story like this, and does it get implemented in a way that adds to whatever the narrative is that you're telling. And like you said, I agree with you. It feels like there was a bullet point list of things that they said, what is Han Solo? Without the person, without an actor playing it. Yeah, it's Harrison Ford. Yeah, it's this sort of, I don't know, we call him a swashbuckling rogue a bunch in our play. It's this character, but what are the things that everybody knows about him? And it's like, don't get cocky, kid. I got a bad feeling about this.
Right.
Like, how do we answer all 80 of these things that everybody feels?
How does he
then we
become
have
a
a
smuggler?
movie first.
Yeah.
Yes. That's like how they decided to make the movie. And it almost feels like after they wrote the movie, all the filler stuff to that, if they just deleted all the Han Solo stuff and gave him a new name, or made him a woman, or made him an alien that was like interesting to watch, we could have used that character as a window into the cool stuff that you said.
Right.
And that is more where I feel like the movie could have gone. I felt like it was a really cool movie about a space smuggler in the Star Wars world.
Right.
But when we found out it was Han Solo, and every time I was reminded that it was Han Solo, it felt like, but it ain't. And not only is it not, but you're kind of telling me that it is instead of showing me that it is.
Right.
And that was hard.
I just got chills thinking of this. What if they would have done the movie this, like you said, just they talked about a smuggler, and then at the end of the film, just, oh, hey, who are you? I'm Han Solo. Oh, this is how we got into the smuggling world.
And that would have made the marketing department have a heart attack.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, but that would have been obviously a much more interesting way to approach it. Now, it's interesting you were talking about canon, because Star Wars is very broad, because you have the films, you have novels, you have video games, you have TV shows,
animated,
So and the old Marvel comics where they got
that's true too. Then you have
Skywriters.
Then you have the old Marvel comics. So when you navigate, like, well, what's canon, what isn't? Some of it is, some of it isn't. Like, there's a lot of things that happened in the novels that completely are not considered canon at all.
Yeah, characters that are amazing that don't exist in this world and can't exist in this world because of the stuff they set up. So it's cool to see some of the stuff get picked up.
Right. So you wonder too, like, I'm sure there's a canon Bible deep inside Lucasfilm, and like, here's what you can have, here's what you can't have, here's what we're using, here's what we're not using, and it's like, okay, Clone Wars, yes, novel about Luke's kids, no.
Yeah, Luke's family, no.
Yeah.
And we're gonna rewrite what Han and Leia's kids are too.
Right.
Completely.
Right. So it's interesting. Like, it's almost like sometimes the novels become fan fiction.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it. I think that's why we felt okay to do like a fan fiction parody musical,
right? And
not like reach out, because there's a lot of other properties out there that, as far as like parody musicals go, we were baited by, like, literally the MCU, the title MC-usical, a Marvel cinematic parody musical. Like, it's a better title than Solo Must Die, but it feels like that's not ours. Whereas Star Wars, I think, when they decided to sell it to Disney, and there was so much speculation, there was more marketing and content about the movies that were going to come out than after the movie came out, like for that first one. And it
the anticipation, absolutely.
Yeah. And it totally changed. I saw the fandom change. I was a part of it. Everybody became more calloused, and they wanted it to be something else, and they felt pandered to. And there's pain in that when you love something so much. Yeah. There's a lot of pain. So it's weird.
That's why there's a documentary like The People versus George Lucas. I mean, I think it is nothing more, no other world has this sort of emotional connection to it, and then like you say, the pain of being felt let down by the prequels.
You had mentioned to it too, Graham. You had said that these are movies that we grew up with as kids. Like we saw the original Star Wars in the movie theaters. We're a few years older than you, so but for someone like your age, that your introduction to the first 3 films wasn't in the movie theaters. You didn't wait in line to go see them in the movie theaters.
And as a small kid, you're watching the original movies, which have hokey, Saturday matinee stuff in them, but then
serial
also
stuff,
serial stuff, and quippy dialogue, and even some of it a little sexist, like "Look, sweetheart," But then also it has Buddhism in there. It has the Force. It has don't go to the dark side. Those messages.
It has Eastern philosophy in it.
Philosophy in it. Those messages were so big for me as a kid. Anger, revenge. That's the dark side, man. I was an angry kid, and it was like, don't go down the dark side. It was always, that has stayed with me.
It's amazing how many little comparisons and allegories that the first movie had. It was like, well, it's a Western in space. Well, it's action. It's fantasy. It's all these things.
The fortress.
It's the fortress. Right. Yeah. It's
it's the searchers.
It's the
it's like everything.
Yeah. It's every all these different comparisons. Although I recommend everyone listening to this podcast that is a Star Wars fan, watch The Fortress, the Kurosawa movie.
I always say this. I go watch The Fortress and watch The Searchers.
Yes.
Those are 2 classic, iconic movies that Lucas drew a lot from.
Right.
And it's just like, wow. You watch both of those movies and you go, oh, that's why it is a Western with an Eastern philosophy message in it, because he drew from those 2 films. And it's just like, it's fantastic.
And put them together in an amazing way, and kept the toy rights.
Yeah.
So.
Smart.
That they were like, who's going to buy toys for this?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'm sure somebody at Fox got fired over that. Yeah. All right. Well, then we will be exploring this more on the spoiler app.
Okay.
Let's go to the next movie.
There were other movies.
Yes, there were. Go ahead.
Can I say,
please?
I grew up with the prequels. I saw the prequels in theaters. I grew up with the letdown.
Yeah.
So I've been that generation of watching with your parents. Your parents going, it wasn't. This isn't the shit that we. This don't just pretend like this isn't it. Yeah. And political intrigue and espionage at 6, and then lightsaber battles, and I don't know, man. There was so much action. That's what I appreciate for Solo. I will say this. That's what I appreciate in Solo, is that there's so much more action than in any of the prequels, and at least they're getting that right.
Yes.
No, they got that right, man. Yeah. They did. The prequels are just like, what are you doing? But this had action. Yeah, it had cool characters. It had the Easter eggs.
And I will say the action was actually shot pretty well. Yeah. I thought it was well edited and well shot. I will say this about that. Now, normally we don't complain about a DP, but this movie was dark. It was too dark. I'm watching this movie thinking, okay, well, my eyesight is going. I'm in my late 40s. My eyesight is going. And then I'm watching it again, and then I'm like, no, it's actually shot dark. Not dark content, dark literally brightness-wise. Because then an exterior scene comes up, I'm like, oh, that's what this movie should actually look like. But all the interiors are shot way too dark. You can't see any of the detail or anything.
You can see the outside of you can't see. Maybe it's because he doesn't look like Harrison Ford. I mean, I know that's weird, but doesn't that sound like a note from somebody who doesn't know how to make a movie but has heard from a million people that the guy doesn't look like Harrison Ford? Right. Well, maybe you should look. Well, this scene's interior. You just turn the dark. Let's go into color correction. Just make it a little bit darker. Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me.
Stop it down.
Watch American Graffiti.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to see a young Harrison Ford. You're going to see what he actually looked like at that age.
Right. This is before Star Wars.
Before Star Wars. And he's tall, and he's a badass, and he looks like he's been in a fight.
Right.
And this kid hasn't ever been in a fight. I can see it in his eyes.
Yeah.
All right. That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. Harrison Ford, you look at Harrison Ford, not his character. You look at Harrison Ford and you go, you know, if I were to push his buttons enough, he'd fucking punch me in the face.
Even in his 70s.
Yeah, in his 70s, he'd fucking drop you. You know what I mean? You know what you heard,
Then he'd get in his plane and go
And he's
fly away.
fly away in his plane. I feel like I could push, what's his name? Alden? I feel like I could push Alden down and he'd go, hey,
Yeah.
maybe he's a nice guy. I'm just saying like from a stance of like he's a fine actor. I'm just saying, you look at Harrison. Harrison Ford was the story. He was a carpenter, right? Yeah. He was in the studio and that whole story. And it was like, he stood up and like earned the part just being standing there, not auditioning, just being a fucking carpenter. You know what I mean? That wasn't a bunch of suits made a decision. I mean, eventually they got involved, I'm sure, but
he was reading opposite the people reading for Han Solo. And that was how they made the argument for him. It was like, well, it's really this guy.
It's like Full Metal Jacket. They hired some actor to be the drill instructor.
Right.
And the consultant was R. Lee Emery, who was a fucking Marine Corps drill instructor. And he just did it. And Stanley Kubrick went,
why don't we just use him?
Do you want the job? Like, I'll just tell you where to, when you hear action, just go fucking yell at these guys.
Yeah, just do what you would do at your job.
At your job. Threaten them, choke them. I don't care.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's do a...
Sorry, Verb.
Victoria...
No, there's no apologies here.
No,
this is a safe place.
Not in film. Victorian Abdul, you saw.
Yeah, I flew to New York last week, which was really cool. I did Keith and the Girl. Please listen to that if you haven't. It's a cool episode. And then I also did their first time you ever did stand-up podcast.
Oh yeah, I did that one too. That's a great one. That's my opening line.
My opening line. Yeah, it was really cool.
And I think they dropped ours right next to each other, so you could hear those.
Yeah, and they ask really cool questions, and then they say like, "What would you tell a young comic?" And I'm like, "Oh wow, I wish I had something like this." It was why when those shows on like Inside the Comedy Mind and Alan Havey's show came out, where there was like comics talking to other professional comics about the craft of it. And I, as a young comic, was like, oh, this is awesome. So that was really cool. And then I did the Hot Mess podcast.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. You had her on too.
With Andrea. So that was really, I did. And I was on Nikki Glazer's You Up with Nikki on Comedy Central Sirius XM radio.
Mm-hmm.
So I
did quite a tour.
So listen to all that. So I flew out there. That's why I'm watching movies that came out a while ago. And Victorian Abdul, I wanted to see this when it came in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
There are some definitive sort of paint by numbers biopic. It's based on a true story of Queen Victoria.
Now, I will say this is generally the type of movie that you don't seek out.
No.
It's period piece, elaborate costumes,
a lot of accents,
court intrigue.
It's a 6-hour flight to New York, Chris. What am I going to do? Can't read the whole book. My eyes got tired. Yeah, court intrigue. Yes, so you're right. That's why I had to wait till I was on a plane to see a movie that came out a year ago.
Man.
So, but it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
These are two really good actors. You know, Judi Dench she's Judi Dench, and all of the the Brit actors that running around. Oh my, the Queen is requested, like all of that court intrigue as you spoke about. Yeah, there's some ridiculous bullshit in it, but it was pretty. It was interesting, and they're showing it's kind of relevant because it's the beginning of the end for the English Empire. It's the late 1800s. India is in the beginnings of like, hey, we're sick of this 100-year-old
occupation.
We're kind of getting tired of it. And there's
and it's the relationship between Queen Victoria and Abdul is the what is he the leader? Like
no, he wasn't a leader. He was just he was a guy that worked in the prison system in India and was requested to present this coin to her or something, and they just wanted an Indian, they just so or a Hindu, and he developed this relationship with her. You sort of see that she's just this figurehead, and I'm sure they took a lot of liberties with what actually happened and created. There was a lot of stuff I'm like, that looks like a Hollywood scene.
Rewrite.
Yeah, but it's it's interesting, and they're both really good actors, and it's one of these movies that, like, if you're like me, you're not going to go seek this out. it's not bad on a plane, or if you're just looking for a movie to watch. You know what I mean? And Judi Dench, she's always
never gonna phone it in.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And she played Queen Victoria actually in 1997 in Mrs. Brown, and she's 1 month older than the age that Queen Victoria was when she actually died. So it's an okay little movie. It's
a good plane movie.
Good plane movie. Mm-hmm. Great little plane movie.
Okay, I saw the movie Cargo. Now, this is a streaming service's original film, and it was based on a short film, Cargo, that went viral, getting 13 million views on YouTube. Ooh. So that's how you get a feature greenlit, pretty quickly. Get your short film to go viral on YouTube and get, I don't know what the cutoff is. Like if somebody's going, get me a short film that's got over 10 million views. Like, is that like, then like, okay, well then now we'll make a feature. But 13 million is a healthy amount for a short film on YouTube. So here's the thing about this movie. It's a very small, compact zombie movie. Mm-hmm. It's basically Martin Freeman plays a father who gets bitten and is trying to find a way to get someone to take care of his infant daughter before he turns. So that's pretty much
I watched the trailer for this, and I was like, well, that's interesting that they kind of know there's this 48-hour window, and he's got so there's this
got
ticking
a timer
clock, literally on his wrist.
On his wrist. And so it's an interesting premise. The thing about the movie is that it definitely feels very small, contained, and low budget, and it really feels like, well, the majority of the budget of this film probably went to Martin Freeman. So that's really what it feels like. Get 1 star, and then whatever money's left over, we'll make the movie.
Yeah, and he said, look, I'll give you 3 weeks to shoot this because I'm between massive projects.
Yeah, exactly, because it really doesn't feel like it's like, Martin Freeman went, out of everything in my career, this is the movie I've been seeking out and been trying to do for years.
He went, wait. How many views?
Yeah.
13 million? That's just the right amount of views.
Yeah.
No more, no less.
So
maybe he came across on YouTube and went, I got to make this.
Yeah. Could be.
And it was an interesting thing. Like, it was an okay movie. It wasn't, it really, it was one of those low budget movies that you really felt the low budget part of it, where it's like, if this movie had more money, it could have opened up a little bit more. It could have, become a little bit bigger. I mean, I understand, like, you got to try to keep it small and contained because ultimately it's a small personal story about a man and his daughter and trying to save her. But at the end of the day, it's like, it reminded me of that Western cannibal movie with Kurt Russell. Remember when that movie came out a couple years ago? It was a Western, but they were fighting. Yeah, Bone Tomahawk. That was it.
I love that movie.
But like at the beginning, you see a Western town with 4 people in it.
Yeah, totally. So small. Yeah. They couldn't afford an extras budget, but they still did the movie. Yeah. Great.
So it has those moments of like, this could have used another couple $100,000 or but it's a decent movie. It's one of those movies too when you have such a great actor of Martin Freeman, where he's just so likable, where he elevates the entire film, where it could be like, oh, this is just kind of a exploitative zombie movie, but he just brings that humanity to the role and to the entire film. So it's a decent movie. It's not great. It's okay. Like I said, it really feels like it's Martin Freeman and his budget that made this movie. But and it's set in the Australian outback, so there weren't a lot of sets to build.
Right.
So,
I know. It's like, where's a desolate place?
Yeah, like that. We don't have to, do pretty much anything except maybe put a couple fences around some abandoned buildings. So,
so I mean, is it worth like you just looking for something to watch?
Yeah, it's definitely worth your time. And I'll tell you, but it's the reason it's worth it is because of Martin Freeman. Like, it doesn't bring anything really new or interesting to the zombie genre. Like, it's like, all right, you get bit, you turn, you try to bite other people. Like, there's nothing like, oh, these zombies are really different and interesting. Mm-hmm. Like, they try to do some interesting things with the makeup where, like, the secretions kind of cover the eyes and mouth, but that's makeup. That doesn't, you're not doing anything different to the zombie genre. So, Martin Freeman alone. He's just such a good actor, and he's so likable. He's one of those guys that has presence on the screen that, you know, you could just watch him. It doesn't matter if it's a zombie movie or a Marvel movie. You're just compelled to watch him on screen, or if, you know, the Fargo TV show. Yeah. Everything he does is just interesting in some way. Going all the way back to The Office, where he was so likable. So, all right. Last movie. Ready?
Yeah.
Film stars don't die in Liverpool. Another plane movie.
Mm-hmm. This one I actually is something I would seek out more than court intrigue.
Yes.
What was cool is it's based on a true story. It's a memoir that Peter Turner wrote about. So it's based on a real person. Gloria Graham was this film star who was like a total femme fatale. She was in The Big Heat in 1953. And what is very interesting is Annette Bening used her performance in The Big Heat as an inspiration for the depiction of her character in The Grifters.
Oh, interesting.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
They did another really cool thing with this movie is when they showed photos or clips of
the real Graham.
Mm-hmm. They didn't Photoshop Annette Bening, or they just showed
the movie.
They just showed young Gloria Graham. Wow. And that was like, oh, that's...
I find that so much more interesting when they do that.
Right?
Like, it's not necessary. Like, we know she's playing this actress. She doesn't have to look exactly like her in you know, old archival footage.
Yeah, and exactly. It's like, you know, people, you know, they age, they change, they look different. So it's totally reasonable that, you know, Gloria Graham would kind of look like Annette Bening at age 59.
Right.
You know, which is what Annette Bening's age was when she played this part, which was like, I don't know, like a year or two older than when, making her 2 years older than when Graham was when she died. Mm-hmm. And it's a really fascinating, because it actually happened and it's based on this guy's memoirs. It's this really fascinating thing. He's this much younger guy, and she's in England doing a play, and they kind of fall in love, and she's kind of a train wreck. You know, there's an alcohol problem. There's, you know,
she a hot mess.
She's a hot mess. She's had a bunch of different husbands and children and all this stuff, and he's just taken with her. And it's a beautiful love story. It really is. Like, and the fact that it's, you know, if it was just a work of fiction, you might go, I don't know if I believe this or whatever, but it's his memoir, and it's a really great little movie, and it's one of those things that I think it got a couple of Oscar nominations. And it's worth it. It's worth seeing. It's worth kind of seeking out if you want like a cool character-driven, you know, biopic indie film with a lot of great performances. Yeah, and Annette Bening just, you know, she's just tearing it up. She's just like playing this.
It got good buzz, but it was one of those movies that got good buzz but no marketing.
Yeah, I think it's that thing. We talk about this every year, these cool little indie films with these great performances in them, and if they don't have a separate budget to push it for award season,
it doesn't get anywhere.
It doesn't get anywhere. Yeah.
It's hard. That's the hardest thing. I saw more Facebook ads for this movie than any of the other movies, but I'd seen ads for them all, and I watched this trailer. Who plays Peter Turner in it?
The actor that plays Peter Turner, let me look it up real quick. He's done a bunch of stuff, and he's a fine actor.
Jamie Bell.
Jamie Bell
from used to be married to Evan Rachel Wood. He's the from Turn. He's Billy Elliot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's directed by Paul McGuigan. You know, Jamie Bell does a great job. And like all the supporting characters, like the people who play his parents are just like, that's your girlfriend? Like, we grew up watching her, you know what I mean? And how he's like doing that thing that people do when, what the movie does a good job of showing is it doesn't matter how, you know, the celebrity status or whatever. When someone has an addiction, it's easy for the family or the loved ones to then fall into this really crazy role of giving up your own life to take care of the alcoholic. And it's like, you see that, and you see how it really affects his family and his life, and it's just great, the supporting, especially his family, some of the other business people, Herb, it's really, and the filmmaker does a great job. I don't want to give anything away, but like doing sort of a showing the two sides of an issue, which I just really, I really enjoyed how he did that. It's, if you go, Paul McGuigan has directed, he's done a lot of TV, and, he's done Sherlock, he's done episodes of Scandal, he directed the film Push. He directed one of my favorite little indie movies is Lucky Number 11. He did Wicker Park. He's just a really good director, and I think he seems like one of those directors that knows how to direct actors, knows how to talk to them, knows how to make those subtle adjustments, knows how to get a little something between take to take, and that's what you see in this film. That I really, I really liked it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, so check it out. All right, Graham, we have a sponsor today.
Chris,
I'm
so happy.
Casper mattresses, cleverly designed to mimic human curves, providing support and comfort for all kinds of bodies. How about that? And it's a breathable design that helps you sleep cool and regulate your body temperature throughout the night. And they've got 3 different kinds now. When we first started advertising with Casper, there was just one. Not anymore. Original Casper, the Wave, and the Essential. So you can see the differences online. And the other thing that's great is they have affordable prices because Casper cuts out the middleman and sells directly to you. Now, Graham, you're still on your Casper mattress. You haven't gotten rid of it yet, have you?
I love the Casper mattress. I got it, I want to say 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Solid mattress. It's comfortable.
Came in like a real tiny box and then expanded, right?
You open it up. You got 100 days to test it out and send it back free of charge. I love it. It's
a 100-night risk-free sleep on it trial.
Yeah, and I was just in New York, so I was sleeping like on a friend's bed and stuff, which was fine, but it wasn't my Casper.
Wasn't your Casper mattress, no.
The thing I love when I get home from the road.
Yeah, you're like, finally, back to Casper.
Back to Casper and surfing.
And free shipping and returns in the U.S. and Canada, delivered right to your door in that small, how do they do that sized box. And you spend 1/3 of your life sleeping, so you should be comfortable. But, again, not going to let you pay full price. Why would we do that?
Are we mean?
No,
Are we bad
we're
people?
Not. We're not mean.
No.
Not at all. Now,
Very
terms
nice
and
to
conditions apply. On select mattresses, get $50 off by visiting casper.com/comedyfilmnerds and using comedyfilmnerds as the promo code at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Get $50 off towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/comedyfilmnerds and using comedyfilmnerds at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Boom. Let's get to the Patreon sponsors, Graham.
How about it?
Every once in a while these do shift from month to month, but we understand that. You guys, any support you give at the $50 level is appreciative.
And we understand the whole reason we set this up is for like small business owners, and we realize you have a limited marketing budget, and so maybe you're like, I can only do X number of months with these guys.
We get it. Yeah. So for a red carpet look for a blue collar price, paparazzi jewelry, just $5 a piece. Go to paparazziaccessories.com/89078. The number at the end is important. Support Nadra Connor.
I brought a bunch of their samples that they sent me. It's amazing what you can get for $100.
So, you brought them with you?
I brought them with me.
So we can put them in the garage and we'll start shipping them out.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
Well, if you order some CFN merch, and we'll give you a little piece of art.
Done.
Of jewelry.
Little bonus. And Johnny Rulon is promoting his novel Green Cheek, A Junkie's Guide to Street Magic. It's on Amazon in both digital and hard copy. It's a stream of consciousness novel. It follows the exploits of the muse Calliope and her immortal lover T.S. on a journey through time, dreams, and the hidden places of supernatural America. The website is happyhorrorshowproductions.com, happyhorrorshowproductions.com. And our favorite charity, the Audacity Performing Arts Project, produces after-school performing arts projects in poor, underfunded, and the lowest performing schools. Performing arts education is not a luxury. Please visit them at cfn.audacityperformingarts.org. cfn.audacityperformingarts.org. Done. Thank you, Patreon supporters.
Yeah, man. $50 a month. You support the show. You get your business put out there. Just go to patreon.com/CFN.
Oh, and let's mention something about Patreon, too, while we're here. Some of the updates actually weren't getting through. Like, we're putting them at the $2 level. Yeah. Is that right? So you'll actually get some exclusive posts that are just for Patreon subscribers. And it's like a lot of the stuff that you see on Facebook or Twitter, but exclusive to Patreon. So it'll be anything from a meme to a photo to a poll. It'll be, but like they weren't getting through, but they'll start getting through.
Yeah, there was some sort of tech issue with our social media person Daniel, who was posting, and some problem with the app. But we're gonna get that fixed, and that is taken care of. So now there's gonna be cool, and that's just at the $2 level.
Yeah, a little extra content for you guys.
Bonus audio and video as you go up the levels from there. So
yes. Mm-hmm.
Check it out.
And all right, we got some trailers to watch, Graham.
Oh, what's the first one we want? The Wreck-It Ralph?
Now, the new Wreck-It Ralph trailer, Ralph Breaks the Internet. This just came out, and let's watch it.
Wait a minute. I think we need to do that thing that we always forget to do, is plug it in.
Oh, did you click on the breakdown? You might have to search on the actual trailer.
Oh, I did, Chris.
Yeah.
Find it. I'm tired of this bullshit.
All right, go to the next one. Let's start with Night School because
let's start.
because I think on the right of Night School you could click and get the Wreck-It Ralph one. All right. Yeah, there. See on the right, top right after that, so we can play and do this. All right, Night School. Here we go.
Night School. There's some dumb ad which we don't want to watch or have anybody pay attention to because
no, please
famous.
Don't. So close your eyes.
Close your eyes. Avert your eyes. Don't watch this. Don't watch this. Don't watch this. Oh, here we go.
Walker, what brings you back to Piedmont?
I'm glad you asked. Right now, I have an amazing job in sales.
Honk once if you love chicken. Honk twice if you love the Lord.
Nice little satire on Chick-fil-A.
But I'm here now to get my GED.
You would have to go to night school. You're in my house.
Are you doing the black voice?
No, I don't hear color.
Okay, night school people.
You're the night school teacher?
No, I'm just a bitch that like to wear blouses. Yes, I'm the night school teacher. Let's do some introductions.
Hey, yo, what up? I'm Bobby.
We can Skype into the class.
Yeah, if you're doing time at the Georgia Correctional Facility. You're next.
Name's Jalen.
How about you, ma'am?
I dropped out of high school, so I wanted to get my GED before I had to live in Randy's parents' laundry room.
My name is Luis. I'm going to become a singer-songwriter.
Oh,
Like Julio Iglesias?
No, not like Julio Iglesias.
Ooh, it's gonna be a long semester.
That's what's up. She's not like the teachers that we had back in the day. This woman is a brick wall.
School policy, if you don't pass that test, you're out.
It's interesting to see Tiffany Haddish play like a straight-laced character.
What? Why didn't you wear black?
She's got the rule book.
Yellow?
Yeah.
Fresh, it's clean. Get your arm out my face.
Yo, what you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing? You gonna take my car with my baby in the back?
Ain't no baby in there. Right there. Teddy, this suit you got on is dumb as hell.
I am where I'm supposed to be.
At a fast food joint next to a strip club.
If I stand in the right spot, I can smell cocoa butter and fried chicken at the same time.
Take this suit off, you gonna take this test.
I need you to go out there and I need you to stall.
No, I can't flirt. In my day, it was innocent. Now it's all about the butt. I heard a guy say, I'm gonna crack that butt like a walnut. Why would you start there? Wouldn't you want to start in the front?
Stop it.
This dance is for students only.
Get out my way, bitch.
Hey, yo, Bobby, watch out! Please. Please continue with the Pythagorean theorem.
The issue is you're clinically dumb.
I know it.
There's no cure for what you have. Oh my God. I got learning herpes? There's no such thing as learning herpes. I'm blistering up. Teddy. You want to smoke some weed?
I'm sorry, what?
What's going on, Terry? Why we in a ring? What's the square root of 81?
What?
What's the square root of 81? I don't know. What you doing?
That's got a
Kevin
bunch
Hart.
of comedians and podcasters that we've had on the show.
Mm-hmm. And it looks fun.
That
looks like
hilarious
a fun movie.
to me, man. I want to see Marilyn Rice Cup we've had on the show. Al Madrigal, who helps run this network. All right.
All right, Wreck-It Ralph. I mean, it looks funny.
I'm excited to see her in big budget movies like that.
Yeah,
where
it's a long time coming for Tiffany Haddish.
They give her a role like that where, you know, she can handle it. She can make your stuff funny, and you can. Well, the physical nature of that too is cool to see that she's game to do something like that.
Well, and I like seeing it. You know, we talk about it a lot on the show, how sometimes a comedian cracks through doing a certain thing and they're never allowed to do anything else. Yeah. And this is like, oh, let Tiffany usually she's the problem child or the whatever, and now she's the taskmaster, but still being funny Tiffany Haddish style.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Mm-hmm. I love it. All right, here we go. Night School.
All right, Ralph breaks the internet. Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Hey, kid! Wake up!
Ralph, what is wrong
Sarah
with
Silverman.
you?
Start churning butter and put on your church shoes, little sister, because we're about to blast off!
Ralph, what is it you're trying to say?
We're going to the internet.
What?
Make it, do it, make sense, get all the make it, do it,
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the internet!
Wow, look at all this stuff.
Some brand licensing agreements in here.
Miracle I've ever seen.
Welcome to the search bar. What can I help you find today? Umbrella, umbrage, umami.
No.
Noah's Ark, no doubt. Nordstrom Rack, ergonomics, Urban Outfitters, cool.
I'm pretty sure he's just trying to guess what you're gonna say.
My autofill is a touch aggressive today.
Let me try. Take me to a website that's super intense and really nuts.
Oh, I only found one result.
Oh, come on. Princesses and cartoon characters barf.
Hey.
Cool.
You're coming with us, kid.
Hi. Whoa, ladies, I'm a princess too.
What kind of a princess are you?
Do you have magic hair?
No.
Magic hands?
No.
Do animals talk to you?
No.
Were you poisoned?
No.
Cursed?
No.
Kidnapped or enslaved?
No. Are you guys okay? Should I call the police?
Do people assume all your problems got solved because a big, strong man showed up?
Yes. What is up with that?
She is a princess.
Nice.
Ralph breaks the internet. Shouldn't it be Ralph wrecks the internet?
Yeah, since he is Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, but break the internet, it's like a thing.
Right, it's just wreck the internet kind of sounds better, doesn't it?
You're not wrong.
Little joke in there about Kim Kardashian's butt covered in champagne.
Nice.
So I love the fact that it's a Disney movie making fun of Disney movies.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that, so it looks really fun.
I don't think any of the princesses have been on screen like that ever before in any movie ever. It's pretty amazing.
And how hilarious the social commentary.
I know,
like,
it's great.
You got to be rescued by a man.
Yeah.
Which is really calling out that Disney princess mentality that a lot of women are like, wait a minute, I was raised to think all this crazy shit. And it's kind of putting it. I know so many women who are like, it's Disney that put all these ideas in little girls' heads.
Yeah.
Right.
And now they're calling it out in their trailer. That's pretty funny to me, man.
What did one of the Supreme Court justices said? Princess is not a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, that you can't grow up to be a princess and actually have a job. But what I love too is like even just the Disney marketing and the branding. Like when it showed like Disney, the world, it was like each little corner of it was like, all right, Star Wars,
right.
Marvel, Muppets, everything that they own was like they showed, which was it's hilarious. They're making fun of the fact that they own all these properties.
Yeah.
So
did you see the first one?
I did.
What did you think of it?
I loved it. I thought, especially, I mean, I don't know if it has been long enough to talk about like the last moment of the movie. When he's falling in and we're in his head and he's falling down, sort of the hero's journey. You have to sacrifice yourself and give of yourself to really be a hero for the first. I thought that was really cool to for this generation of kids to see that, and also John C. Reilly's voice is so,
he's good.
He's perfect.
He's just good.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. Yeah.
I just love the retro feel of the first one. Like this one feels almost more like Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Like now we're bringing this retro video game character into modern times.
Right.
The fact that he's going onto the internet. So I'm going to make a bold prediction here and say it's going to make a shit ton of money. So, it's being also released on that Thanksgiving weekend when all the kids are off from school. So this is going to be like, once again, the Disney has like another Avengers movie later in the year, and this will be after The Incredibles. So they're making blockbuster after blockbuster after blockbuster in the same year. I mean, between just the movies they released this year, they haven't really had a flop yet with these big budget movies. I mean, we'll see how Ant-Man and Wasp does, but it's still going to do fine.
Right.
It's not going to tank. So
yeah, they haven't had a blockbuster tank in a while.
Like, Solo, quote, didn't live up to expectations, but you know what? Still made hundreds of millions of dollars, worldwide. Yeah, I think it's still doing okay. Yeah.
Not worried about
it. Didn't come in at $1 billion.
Right,
okay.
yeah.
This is going to do 300, 400 million. All right. I think people will survive over there.
But don't worry, you still got my money.
Right.
Infinity War and Deadpool around when you release.
Yeah.
So.
I'm giving you money every weekend.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even when Fox makes money off of Deadpool, Disney still makes money because they still ultimately own the character.
When is Disney going to buy MoviePass? That's the big question.
I know.
It'll have to happen before it goes bankrupt.
Yeah, you're right. You're right there too.
Kind of close.
Yeah, probably not tomorrow.
Yeah.
All my friends use it.
It's not a great.
I've started using it.
It's not a great business model. They said that people that buy it, they hope they only use it once a month. If you only go to the movies once a month, you're not buying MoviePass.
You're not buying MoviePass.
Yes,
and the other thing they were hoping to is people would buy the subscription and then forget about it. I'm like, that's a terrible business model.
Why would you say that?
Yeah.
Don't tell people about what PayPal.
It's great you have a lot of subscribers. It's great you have a lot of subscribers, but you're, by the way, business model not sustainable. Okay, DVD and Blu-ray. 3 disappointing films on this list. A Wrinkle in Time. I was really disappointed in this movie. I felt it was a real wasted opportunity.
Ditto.
And it was one of those things where the book is so rich and has such dark themes in it. Like, why would you not translate into the film? And they didn't. So, but Ava DuVernay. It's great to see. Again, this is when we get into diversity and fairness in the industry. She made a bomb. Now she'll get to work again.
That's when we've
reached parity.
When a black woman can direct a movie that doesn't do well and keep getting hired.
keep getting work.
Because she's a fine director. I mean, she's done great stuff.
Sure.
And this is the kind of thing where I'm not making excuses if she made some bad decisions or whatever. But like on a giant movie like this, there's a lot of stuff.
Right.
That a director would have to deal with.
The costume budget alone on Wrinkle in Time was probably more than Cargo's entire budget. Next movie, Death Wish.
Oh, come on.
The remake with Bruce Willis. Neil saw this movie and Neil was like, no, it was terrible.
Movies like this actually need to pray that MoviePass doesn't go out of business.
Right.
Because this is the thing, you're like, if I got nothing to do and I got to kill time and it's like,
and
I'm not going to buy a ticket for this.
No, I've already paid for my month. I'll go see Death Wish.
I'll go see Death Wish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, so movies like Death Wish are real.
It's a hard sell.
Because it's the same. I mean, it's a remake, but also what's different about this than like Bullet to the Head, the Stallone movie? You know what
any
I mean?
of those.
It's like it's sort of the same. I got it. Yeah.
When this movie came out in the 70s, it was when as they've traced it now to lead, right? Lead was making decades of lead. People were going nuts. Crime was kind of a little bit out of control. So there was all these take control, take back the street movies. And now it's was Charles Bronson?
I mean, it was a different time.
Yeah, this is.
So it's a really weird thing that that movie got made. And the next, again, weird thing that movie got made, but much larger budget because you have a hurricane in it. Hurricane Heist. I love how, what's a better title? Hurricane Heist, not The Hurricane Heist.
These DVD VOD releases are basically telling you, go back and see Black Panther, Deadpool again.
There's plenty of stuff in the movie
Infinity War you missed. You should go see it again.
Or if you're on a plane, there's also better choices.
Yes, you should go watch Film Stars Don't Live in Liverpool, Die in Liverpool, whatever. Just something about Liverpool.
So now we got on the site Spotlight and the fan feedback, we got a great email from Gabriel.
Okay.
And it says, I'm listening to your Deadpool spoiler episode on my Overcast app in which you mentioned nobody uses your app anymore. Since capitalism has bred cynical contrarianism in every fiber of my being, I bought your app just to spite you. I didn't even bother pausing Overcast to continue the episode in the CFN app. So, and he put a couple more reasons in the email. No,
well, he goes, why am I spending all this time to email you about this? A few reasons. 1.
I have about 45 minutes left of my workday before Memorial Weekend. Who's productive in a situation like that? 2, I'm hoping Graham appreciates the socialist underpinnings of my sarcastic millennial stream of consciousness nonsense.
Yes, the answer is correct. Yes, I do. God bless you.
And 3, I like the podcast and just wanted to pass on my appreciation. That is much appreciated. Look, we'll take spite purchases too. Yes, Absolutely. We're happy with those.
You want to hate buy?
Yeah, please do. Visit the store. You'll get a free piece of jewelry. I saw Deadpool 2 yesterday, and I'm another goon out there trying to emulate Ryan Reynolds' performance in a misguided effort to stave off existential dread. And the last reason, America. So all the best, Gabriel. So
Gabriel,
thank you for your
I hope
email.
you had a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. I hope it was fun and full of America and socialism.
Yes. So, the rest of you listening, please buy the app out of spite.
Out of something out of cynical capitalism.
Yes. And now premiering this week. This is the movie's coming out Friday, Ocean's 8. I got to say, I'm not that excited about this movie. I've seen multiple trailers. But I will say this: it has nothing to do with the cast or the all-female reboot. I never really loved the original Ocean's movies. I like heist movies, but there was always something about them that just I found slow and just kind of plodding.
The Ocean's movies are just total popcorn. I mean, they're just haircuts and quippy talk and cool music. And if that's what this, and
the structure is always the same. Everything's leading up to one heist. Will they get caught?
Yeah.
And then we're stretching this out to close to 2 hours.
Crazy switch at the end, I'm guessing.
Could be.
I'm excited for that movie just because it sort of asks the question, would women be better at this than men? And I think yes, because so much of the Vegas heist initially was charm, like using a lot of charm and feminine wiles, a big part of charm. I don't know. I've been stoked to see the movie. It seems like it could be done really, really well, and it's sometimes these fads. I don't want to call it a fad. It's the changing of the tides, right? But this Ghostbusters reboot that everybody was up in arms about.
I really like that, by the way.
I dug that too, but I think that trend of let's do it, but we'll do it all women. We'll do it,
overboard.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll swap the genders. And you don't have to do it all the time.
You don't have to, but I think sometimes it could work. Mm-hmm. Tootsie is one of those ideas that really worked, and I think about that as one of the best comedy movies of all time. But when you hear the pitch, it's almost like I don't want to see that fucking movie. Pardon me. I don't want to see that movie. I don't want to watch that. And then you watch it and you go, oh, I learned a lot from it. And I don't know if I could learn a lot from Ocean's 8, but I really want to see. I do really want to see it. Stidham approved.
And the next movie is a really creepy horror movie, Hereditary. I saw a trailer on this, and it's kind of this slow burn of a horror movie, off-putting and kind of unsettling. And, it's kind of like what I liked about the trailer is it still left it vague. Is this a ghost story? Is it supernatural, or is it happening in somebody's mind? But for a good trailer, especially for horror, to raise those questions is more interesting than showing me, oh, this is exactly what happens through the first 2/3 of the movie. So it piqued my interest.
Toni Collette, is that who that is? Is that
a
Toni Collette movie?
Mm-hmm. And the next movie is Won't You Be My Neighbor? This is the Fred Rogers documentary. Can't wait to see this. Grew up watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
I grew up watching it too. I saw the trailer and it looks awesome. It looks like also another thing of when you're a kid watching it, you're just like, oh, there's all these cool characters. And then you watch this, at least the trailer, it's like, oh no, he was breaking barriers, and he was showing all of these little subversive things. In the trailer, there's this scene about there was a pool, I think, in Baltimore or something, where some public pool, and they wouldn't let black kids swim in there. So then then there's a scene where him and the mailman, I forget the mailman's name, who was a black guy, and they're like, oh, let's put our feet in the pool, and they're just like,
right.
And as a little kid, you're just watching this thing like, well,
that's normal.
Cool.
That's how it should
Everyone's
be.
in a pool, and
Mm-hmm.
he's basically saying, and what he's doing is like, it's ridiculous to say a certain group shouldn't be in a pool,
right?
You know, and he did it in such an innocent, childlike way that it really, it obviously impacted us.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we grew up on, was that and the hippie Sesame Street. And
now I will say this is a good example of, like, we talk about how release strategies work. Like, this is the perfect kind of movie. Like, does it really need a wide theatrical release before it goes to on demand and DVD? Like I would watch this on demand this weekend if it came out. Like this is the perfect kind of movie that would benefit from a simultaneous release.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the strategy is, but that's definitely how. Because do you need to see it on a big screen? It's
my guess is they're going, hey, let's angle for an Oscar.
Right,
now,
right, for sure.
In
June.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And it's also that type of movie that has a good shot, because there's two Oscar documentary types that have a good shot of getting the Oscar. One is one that makes you feel horrible about the world and everyone living in it.
Yeah, everything's collapsing.
Yes,
that documentary.
Yeah, or the one
which is what Earbuds is.
Yeah. And it's literally the other side of the spectrum where it just makes you feel good about humanity. Right. Like, there doesn't seem to be an in-between for Oscar documentaries. Like, you can kind of feel good about it, but there is a problem. No, that will never get a nomination.
That's not going to get a nomination.
You have to be one or the other. So, and the last movie coming out is Hotel Artemis. This is a weird movie where it feels like they took the hotel scene in John Wick and said, let's make it a hospital.
Yeah.
And then we'll make an entire movie around it.
It's some like gangster hospital, and then everyone's trying to shoot him up, and all right.
There's no guns in this gangster hospital.
Okay.
Chances are in another 20 minutes there will be.
Yeah. Jodie Foster is the head gangster nurse or whatever.
Yeah. Something like that.
Gangster nurse. So, it is a very interesting lineup this weekend. So, it's there's definitely some counter programming for all of the giant Disney blockbusters that are all in the theater right now. Like, literally, you could see Black Panther, Infinity War, or Solo. That's probably half the screens at your multiplex right now.
Deadpool 2.
And Deadpool 2, yeah.
Yep.
So there you go.
Wow.
That is definitely half the screens in your multiplex then. So, and this will take up the other half for a couple of weeks, and then it'll go back to those four again.
Well, that's our show, everybody. 421, halfway to 842. Ari, thank you for doing the show.
Thanks for having me.
Where can people find you online, or what are you pitching? What do you got going on?
So now Scorpion's still on the air, though.
No.
Oh,
Scorpion, we got canceled. When? Gosh, May. Beginning like May 13th or 12th.
Are there reruns, or is it just pulled?
They just pulled it. They pulled it from the schedule. Thanks.
So
way to go,
Have
Chris.
a good
Keep
night.
asking
I
No.
was trying to find that silver lining in there.
No.
Got any questions about my divorce or foreclosure, Chris? I haven't talked about that enough.
It's the industry. It's groovy. Everything's great.
Yeah.
You can find me on Instagram.
I got it. Scorpion, now available on DVD.
Yes, now available on DVD, Amazon VOD. I'm on Instagram at Ari Stidham. My website, aristidham.com, has short films and new content I throw up there from time to time. There's a collection of short films up there right now based on a character I do called Lou Evelyn Rivers. And then my movie, Curse of the Siren, is on Amazon right now. A low-budget B-horror movie. You guys probably dig it. It doesn't take itself seriously at all.
Awesome.
Now, what did you do on that? Did you write direct?
I wrote, directed, and I produced. I basically wrangled the movie with all of my friends. And we shot it at my house in like 2.5 weeks with some of the people from Scorpion.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it was super fun. Super fun. It's like the first feature that we made of 3 that we've made at my house that are all low budget horror, and this one's more campy and comedy centered.
What's the premise?
A siren stalks a house party of teenagers and picks them off one by one. She sets up shop in their pool. It really doesn't take itself seriously. It's a fun fun 72 minutes.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for doing the show, you guys.
Thanks for having me.
The Progressive Comedy Tour with Ron Placone and myself, June 20th through the 24th. We're going to Nashville, Huntsville, Alabama, Asheville, North Carolina, Louisville, Kentucky, and Atlanta. Go to grahamelwood.com for tour dates. And Make Gotham Great Again shirts are available.
Yes.
At the
Comedy Film Nerd store.
The Comedy Film Nerd store. Check that out. And I think that's what we got cooking. Right?
So, and I want to mention too, for those of you that backed Long Ago and Far Away, that my graphic novel, we got the final proof today. So we're on final notes, and then digital rewards will go out very soon, and then we'll get it printed and get the physical rewards out to you guys.
Oh, I know. I want to say I submitted for just one episode. I couldn't submit the whole series of the FNX Comedy Experience for Variety Special, pre-produced, and I did episode 2, The Ladies of Native Comedy. So if you are an Academy of Television
Arts and Sciences
voter or know someone that is, please turn them on to this episode. The episode is available at fnx.org or the First Nations Experience Facebook page. You can watch it. It's all Native American female stand-up comics.
Yeah.
It's never been done before.
Get Graham an award. Come on.
Yeah, come on, man. Help support Native Americans. The CV series has never happened before. This is groundbreaking, and if we can get an Emmy nomination, we'll get more exposure to all these amazing Native comics, many of whom we've had on this show, who, as Sheila Shalaki said, the cool thing about the show is they're getting on TV without having to do leathers and feathers. So go watch that show and post it on your social media and tell them that this needs an Emmy nomination. There you go.
Done.
That's our show. Ari, thank you. Aaron,
thanks again.
Thank you. Han Solo, thank you.
And now rewind and listen to the song again at the beginning.
What's the song? It's a funny song. My name is Graham Elwood.
And I'm Chris Mancini. And as always, remember,
Han shot first.